Hey, what is going on, guys? It is Young here, and today I'm back in our Fortnite video. And in today's video, I'm going to give you guys some tips and tricks when it comes to free building in Fortnite, and just be going over some of the basics and as well also how to improve when it comes to building and free building in Fortnite. And before we get into the video, I have a V-Buck giveaway. If you guys want a chance to win some free V-Bucks, all you guys have to do is to drop a like on the video. Make sure you guys subscribe to my channel and also subscribe to my second channel. The link for that will be in the description or the pinned comment. Turn on my post notifications and as well comment down below your Xbox gamer tag, your PSN gamer tag, or Epic account. And as well, if you guys would like to support me in the item shop, all you guys have to do is go over to the item shop, go down to support a creator, type in my code is YoungHumor, and you guys will have me added and supported as a creator. I really do appreciate all you guys who do add me. And alright guys, let's go right to the video. So in this video, I wanted to be talking about free building in creative, or just free building in general, and just be going over some of the different techniques that I use when it comes to free building, and as well some of the tips I use to help me improve at it as well. So starting off, there is a lot of different combinations, and for me personally, I'm not the best free builder in the game. I'm not, like Ps4, I'm not, crazy. I don't sit in creative all day. I play a lot of pubs, but I am pretty decent at free building. I've been practicing a little bit more, the past few weeks, so I have gotten pretty good at a lot of different moves. And so I want to be going over some of the things that you can do in creative and free building that can also be really effective. So when it comes to actual games, you can be very good at building and just be overall a lot better at building. So when it comes to free building, one of the moves that you can do a lot of is when it comes to side jumping, and also when it comes to editing the floor in the pyramid. There's just so many different building techniques that you can do after this. And when it comes to free building, what it really comes down to is just a lot of combinations and getting very creative with a lot of the basics that you do, because you're gonna have something like side jumping. There's gonna be some editing involved, and then so when it comes to all the different techniques that you see, they're really not that extremely complicated. A lot of it is just a lot of basics thrown together and then kind of put in a creative way. Some of it can be very hard, but I would say the pyramid is one of those things that you can do the absolute most out of, because there's so many different options you can go off after you place the pyramid. And one of the must-have techniques I'm going to show you guys just in a second is something that pretty much every really good free builder does very well. And there's so many different options you can do off of that. And that's basically, you have to place the floor and also place the pyramid. You have to edit both on one side, and then you have to extend it out with a ramp, place some walls, place a floor, and then connect the builds all together. So when you do it right, it looks something like this. And so here I have it slowed down just a little bit to show you guys exactly what this move is and exactly how to do it. Now, like I said, this is something that a lot of free builders are really good at. It looks really fancy, and there's a lot of different techniques that you can do off of this build. So after you do this build, you can also branch off. You can just edit the wall in front of you. So after you build, you would edit the floor instead of editing the ramp. And you also could branch off, do another side jump right after it. And there's just so many different combinations, and that's what it really comes down to if you want to be really good and creative and really good when it comes to free building. Is you have to do a lot of things like that, and that one's a little bit more advanced, but you can do a lot of more basic type of moves, side jumps, stuff like that, and just put a lot of different combinations together and still have it look really good. And so the next thing that I want to show you is something you see a lot in creative builds, and people do a lot of crazy things off of this, but this is pretty much a general concept. So it comes off the build where maybe you do a side jump, maybe you turn around, and so basically you have the ramp above you and below you. And once you do this, there's a lot of different moves that you can do off of this. You can place pyramids, you can place walls and kind of connect it and do 90s off the side. There's a lot of different things you can do off of this build, so this could be a really good one to practice. So when it comes to learning a lot of different techniques, there's a lot of different things you can do off of this build. So you can place a cone if you want to, and if you want to, you can branch off and do 90s very easily, just like that. But you can also branch off and maybe you do an extra side jump afterwards. Maybe you do like a cone edit where you edit the top or the bottom two squares so it branches up a little bit. And so there's a lot of different things you can do off of this build. And also keep in mind when you're practicing free building, pretty much everyone that I've ever met has a little bit different style of building. Some people are a little bit smoother. Some people are really fast and like to build and edit as fast as possible. Some people are really good at cone edits. Some people are really good at ramp edits. So it really just depends on your style and exactly what you're good at. And of course, I would recommend practicing as many different styles, builds, and techniques that you possibly can. And for myself, I feel like I'm pretty good at cone edits. That's something that I focus on a lot, so I edit with a lot of cones, and I also edit with a lot of walls. So when it comes to different builds within, those two structures, I feel like I'm really good at, and I practice those a lot, because for me, I don't know why, but editing pyramids are super easy when it comes to just editing in any sort of way. Just something that I'm really, really good at. So that's just something that I focused on a lot more and started practicing and got really good at. And you guys will probably be the same way when it comes to free building. You probably figure out that maybe you guys are really good at floor edits. Maybe you guys are really good at editing stairs, and that's going to be one of the best things for you when it comes to editing. And there's a lot of different builds that you can do off editing stairs and walls. As you guys can see here, here's a few different techniques. When it comes to building, you can do a lot of editing as well. That's also something that a lot of people really don't think about too much when it comes to free builds, is a lot of it can actually have to do with editing. There's a lot of different crazy edits, and I started seeing a little bit more pretty recently, but also the best way to practice and to learn new builds and creative is really just to watch a lot of the really, really good players who are extremely good at learning different techniques. I definitely know a few guys who are really, really good that do a bunch of crazy different moves that I feel like they come up with new moves every day. It's pretty insane, but there's a lot of different combinations. It's pretty much endless. There's so many different techniques that you can do, some being a lot more difficult, a lot more complicated than others. But definitely the best way to see and learn other builds and other techniques is just to watch a lot of the really good players. A lot of clips on Instagram that I've seen that of people just doing the craziest builds and the craziest edits. A lot of them do play on PC, so they do have the advantage of being able to edit a lot faster, but at the same time, a lot of console players can do it as well. And one other thing to mention, I think personally when it comes to starting to learn a lot of different builds, I think it's better to be a little bit smoother than to be a little bit faster, because there's a few certain builds when it comes to like when I do like 180s or I turn a little bit, sometimes it messes me up because I place the build too fast. So sometimes it really is beneficial to slow down a little bit when it comes to doing some of these builds. So I would recommend really having it down as much as possible before you really start to just edit as fast as possible, if that makes any sense. Because like I said, when I do a lot of turns in certain type of builds, sometimes it screws me up because I do it too quickly and I end up blocking myself off with like a ramp, block myself off with a wall or anything like that. I end up blocking myself off because I went and built it too fast. So if you really focus on technique, you'll probably end up learning the builds a lot faster and also be a lot more accurate with them, because I think that's the most important part, and that's the one thing that you're really going to translate into actual games and get you a lot of wins very easily. It's just being very accurate with your builds, because even if you can build very quickly, it doesn't help you a lot if you are kind of sloppy and from time to time mess up your builds. Because for myself, I'd honestly rather be a little bit slower but nail every build that I build than be really, really fast and then also be just a little bit sloppy at the same time. I really don't think that's very beneficial if you keep messing up your edits over and over again, because you are going a little bit too fast. So that's just my personal opinion when it comes to building and the best way to learn it. And that's just something that I've been doing a ton when it comes to learning different free builds. It's really just focusing on the technique and also just focusing on how to build it, slowing it down a little bit. And then once I started getting good at doing it over and over again a little bit slower, then I started speeding it up and started practicing the builds going a lot faster. And that's what I would recommend to you guys, for those of you guys who are just starting out, or if you want to learn a new build, especially ones that are a little bit harder to do and that are a little bit more complex. I would for sure try to learn the technique being really, really slow, and then gradually working up the speed until you can get it fast and also be very accurate with it, because it really doesn't help you at all to be very fast if you're constantly messing up builds, constantly messing up edits, making doorway edits and different things like that. It's just not going to be very beneficial and help you guys out a ton when it comes to the actual games, because in creative you can mess up all you want, but when it comes to games like arena, especially in the end game or maybe in a public matches, if you keep messing up your builds, it's going to burn through your mats. And and also at the same time it could allow the other player to get high ground. So that's just something to consider. And with that being said, that's wrap up for this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, if you guys liked it, make sure you guys do drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, turn on my post notifications so you guys are notified for every single new video. And alright guys, I'll see you next video.